This is Greg. Tesla beats on earnings today, and we want to say congratulations and review the details. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. Repeat visitor, welcome back. We want to thank our Patreon supporters. We greatly appreciate your support. It makes all the difference in our existence and success. We also want to encourage you to take time to like and subscribe if you enjoy the show. Well, Tesla just arrived with earnings at 4:30 our time about an hour ago. The numbers were excellent. We were pleased to see that there wasn't anything in the balance sheet that suggested that things were rough, and therefore we're seeing a nice up push in the stock price. As was detailed in the production numbers previously, Tesla produced 145,000 vehicles and delivered 139,000 of them. They've also, and so those numbers were excellent. We also saw an increase in margin up to 27%, which is actually excellent. And one would think that as we go into the numbers necessary to get to the 500K, if we were looking at higher margins in this fashion because of declining cost in China and other places, this shows the potential that the company has, I think, to deliver some terrific numbers. So we want to say first, congratulations to the company for great production. Also, congratulations for those of you who are heavily in the stock and maintain the faith and your ownership of the stock in the process. So the question mark is, where are we going from here? And I think with things like margin increases and Elon pointing out there's no problem meeting production goals with the cash on hand and with the $809 million that was earned, I just think that there's a plethora of really good news here that suggests that those who've upgraded the stock to higher numbers are actually validated in what they had estimated. On first glance, before we actually hear what the conference call sounds like and the questions posed in terms of how that conference call is going, we'll then be able to add more fuel to this fire post. But I have to say that from everything I'm seeing, everything says green lights for Tesla on all fronts. I would also say that at this point, the only major obstacle for the company is what's happening with the stimulus package. Our hope is that something gets done and that completed activity facilitates us seeing a nice push in the stock price from here. As we've talked about before, China is really a fulcrum of the future success of Tesla. And China is working great right now. I think Elon is going to talk about where we are in terms of exports from China versus production from Fremont being exported globally. I think that's going to be a big, impactor on things. And I think there's a lot of questions that come out that are going to reveal kind of what things look in the the short, medium, and long term for the company that big time impacts things. For Tesla to affirm the 500,000 goal being reached in Q4 with the sales from Q4, I think is another positive sign, which suggests that, number one, we have productive capacity, I think is easy, particularly in China, to help facilitate that production number. But as we've stated previously, the other side is that what does demand look like? And we're going to go out on a limb and say that, number one, the Model Y will begin production in China in Q4. But number two, I believe that the reason why Elon is confident that we can get to the 500,000 number from the year is that the backlog on the Model Y in China is rather large. And as we see that backlog being chipped away at, it facilitates the stock doing extremely well, and we get some huge benefits from this. We actually have been wondering about why it is that the Model Y in China has been delayed, because it's such an important vehicle. And after doing some research with the help of some of our PhD advisors, there are a couple of things that popped up. The first is that we were told that by another show that it turns out that manufacturing and production line experts from Germany had been brought in, and then the folks who built the Model Y production line had been brought in from Fremont. And we actually thought what would happen is, to expedite this production, we'd simply have a replication of the lines that are being run in Fremont. And it turns out that, in fact, they're not really doing that. And the main reason is that Elon is really hunting for the dreadnought factory goals. This definitely reduces costs in terms of manpower putting the cars together. But the challenge is that because you have a lot more space to work with in the factory in Shanghai, you have very, very difficult situation when it comes to how do you get, you basically can't use the same structure of production of the robots. And the reason is that in Fremont, because of tight spaces, there's a lot more human interaction to get things done. It turns out that when you're running a manufacturing line, the slowest point on the line dictates the speed of the entire line. So if you have human beings there rather than robots, you now have the challenge of those human beings actually slowing down the line and therefore slowing the productive capacity of that facility. As we look at the new Model Y facilities in China, which we're kind of doing a show on right now, you'll find that the dreadnought introduction there will help facilitate, if you will, the slow run pace of production that Elon has been targeting. And so we're also fascinated to learn that because of how dreadnought is being implemented, the sort of the least productive factory for Tesla is going to be Fremont, with China being the best, because you now have the newest manufacturing capabilities being implemented there. So we think it's a pretty fascinating circumstance to see this transition, and really look forward to getting some exposure to it to see what great technology and software and hardware can pull together to deliver a car at a great price, based on the fact that you have very little human contact with the production facility. So, I think it's fascinating to watch what's going on here. And we want to congratulate the folks at Tesla of getting it done, both getting the deliveries and profit done that the market is pleased to see. And from here, we're hopeful that as the market gets a feel for this and we get support from the broader stock market, we could see 450 at least, possibly 500 a share would be totally awesome to see come up. We want to thank you for joining us. We usually have our health tips. Wanted to encourage you to consider 25 leg lifts a day while seated with a 5-pound leg weight on. We also want to encourage you no more than once a week fried foods. Also want you to encourage you to consider a 5-2 or another diet in that realm. Also want to encourage you to consider going to bed 4 hours, minimum 2 hours before you jump in bed after eating, to avoid digestion issues. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss German, au revoir French, Lehitro, Hebrew, Choda Hafez Farsi, Hey Do Swedish, Strasvice hello in Russian, Ohio gozaimasu Japanese, Assalamu alaikum, namaste. And in Jamaica, we say, enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now.